Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, Jaya Guru Raya.
Rama 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 Bhagwan Shri Yogi Ramsuratkumar ki jai. Sarvam Yogi Ramsuratkumar Arpanastu. Another gracious blessing from Bhagwan. For one more session of his powerful name. It's not for nothing that we have been made to do it. It is he who is activating us all the time, starting from the breath. So our thankful pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. Today we shall see some of the instructions given by Bhagwan to a devotee, which applies to all of us. Something we have to remember and act upon. Sri G. Venkataraman, Chennai Satsang Samiti. He has written his experiences, which I found very instructive, informative and instructive. In 1987, he got a job in Saudi Arabia, a place which was well known at the time for very strict rules and regulations, especially where religion was concerned. They could not tolerate any other religion there. So they had made very strict rules so that no other religion could survive there. India, as you can see, in the name of Sanatana Dharma, is ready to embrace all religions. We believe in peaceful, harmonious coexistence, in the universal brotherhood. For so many centuries, we have been practicing it. Now, Sri Venkataraman was somewhat disturbed, though he very much wanted to go for the sake of money. He was also afraid to go there. He decided only if Bhagwan permitted, he would go, in which case he would get all the protection there. In Saudi, one could not do any bhajans, one could not worship any other god in the public. The women, even the Hindu women, were forced to go covering their head, if not the face, and they had to put on this black gown whenever they went out. And people could not gather for any function, especially religious function. For even minor offenses, people of other religion would be jailed or given some severe punishment. These are some of the stories we were hearing from this land. This is the land of Mecca and Medina, the land of Islam. Now when Venkatraman went to Sannadhi Street House to inform Bhagwan and to take his permission, Bhagwan asked him if he was doing any practice of any sloka already. Shri Venkatraman replied, right from the age of 12 years, he had been reciting Aditya Hridayam. That was the sloka, the hymn composed by Sri Agastya and given to Sri Rama for his victory in the war with Ravana. So somehow he had learnt it, and he kept on reciting day after day once. So this is what he reported to Bhagwan. And Bhagwan said, very good, Venkatrama. Even after going there, you must recite it twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. He made him recite it also in front. Shri Venkatraman said, from the age of 12, after the bath, the first thing that he would do is reciting this. So he could recite it in front of Bhagwan. Bhagwan blessed him nicely. And then he asked him, where would you be living? He said, Aljubai. Then Bhagwan became very curious. He said, Venkatrama, show this beggar where that place is. Then he went inside. He searched for a very big-sized atlas. He had kept what you call A3 size these days. He carried the weight of it all the way to the backyard, near the well. And there is some wider space in front of the well. He took Shri Venkatrama with him and then asked Shri Venkatrama to spread the map in that huge space and said, Venkatrama, show this beggar where the place is. You see, Venkatraman was trembling. In those days, all of us who visited him would be so afraid. Afraid of what? We didn't know, because Bhagwan was very kind to us. But if we said or did anything out of turn, we could provoke his anger, and sometimes he would say something in anger. He would say, don't come here. So I, for one, was always scared. In fact, I used to be scared even to breathe loudly in his presence. So Venkatrama was already trembling with fear because he had to do it properly in front of Bhagwan. Bhagwan tolerated no nonsense. At least that's what we thought. And then he very busily looked for the place, and at last he found it to his great relief. And he put his finger there and said, Swamiji, it is here. Then Bhagwan looked at the place and said, Venkatrama, now you put this beggar's thumb at that place. So more trembling than ever before, Sri Venkatraman took Bhagwan's hand in his and put the thumb, which was ceaselessly moving, in japa. He put the thumb at that spot. And then Bhagwan went into silence. For quite some time he remained as he was, with the eyes closed, was completely lost in another realm. And then he said, okay, Venkatrama, let's go inside. So they came back, and then Bhagwan declared, now Venkatrama, this beggar has no objection to your going there. He had seen to all that protection for his devotee there. And he probably blessed the country also. How fortunate Saudi Arabia, with the land of a great soul. And it is the land of worship, the land of pilgrimage, where Kaaba is kept. And thousands, lakhs of Muslims every year go over there and worship. Now after this, Bhagwan asked Venkatraman about the place of his stay, how everything would be. Would there be a school for the children? And other comforts of life. Then Bhagwan went inside in search of a photograph. He brought it out, gave it to Venkatraman and said, Venkatrama, you keep this picture of this beggar. This beggar will be with you. But you have to remember to chant Aditya Hridayam twice a day. You keep this photograph with you. Then, of course, he left Venkatraman, who soon after that went over to Algebra. He says all those years he stayed there, he had no problems at all, that he felt the protection of Bhagwan all through. When he went to the airport, he had taken the Hindu almanac, the Hindu calendar of the new moon, full moon day, and other festival days, the complete calendar of Hindu calculations. But as soon as they found out at the airport, you know what they did? They tore it to pieces and threw it away. Imagine what Sri Venkatraman would have felt. And then when it came to the photograph of Bhagwan, they asked Venkatraman now, he said, this is my grandfather. He hastily said, this is my grandfather. So they let him have it. So anyway, he escaped. What was most important for him is Bhagwan's picture was safe enough. So all through the day, every day, day after day, all through the years of his stay there, he was well protected, and he did exactly as he was instructed by Bhagwan. I think in 1992, he came to have Bhagwan's darshan when he had come on leave. By then, he used to write many letters to Bhagwan, describing every event, every incident of his life, for the simple reason that he wanted Bhagwan to know everything about his life. So you see, the first thing that Bhagwan spoke was, Venkatrama, you write so many letters to this beggar. Why do you do it? This beggar doesn't read them. This beggar cannot reply to you also. Why do you write so many letters? Then Sri Venkatraman replied, Swamiji, I wanted Swamiji to know everything about whatever happens in my life. Just this information to reach Swamiji. It doesn't matter if Swamiji doesn't reply. I just wanted my letter to reach you so that you would know. Then Bhagwan said, Venkatrama, you can keep writing letters, that's okay, but don't post them. Instead, you can keep those letters in front of this beggar's picture. I will know. This is what Bhagwan promised. You simply you write and keep the letter in front of this beggar's photo, and this beggar will know everything. And Venkatrama, whatever you buy, you can keep that in front of this beggar's photo and take it. It would have my father's blessings. And Venkatrama, whatever you cook, you can keep that in front of this beggar's photo, offer it to him, and it would be blessed. What a great blessing. How fortunate Sri Venkatraman is. If we take it to heart, we are also very fortunate. Gurudeva's teachings are for all. Though whoever is interested, whoever imbibes it, whoever practices vigorously, they are specially blessed. It belongs to all. Like Sri Krishna taught Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And you know it belongs to the whole world. It's beyond time. And so many thousand years have passed, and it is still fresh. And it still applies to all. It's been translated into many languages. It's being celebrated all over the world. The teachings of a great master are for all. So Bhagwan said, after that, Sri Venkatraman did exactly as he was asked, and he felt his blessings. Bhagwan often said, the blessings are always there. The blessings are pouring from God in all directions. One has to learn to receive it. Though they are there all the time, why is that we don't feel these blessings always? Bhagwan also referred to the owl. The owl would close its eyes in the daytime, in the broad daylight, and then complain, oh, it is dark everywhere. There is no light at all. So some people cling to the sufferings. They cling to the grief, the sorrow, and complain there is no joy in life, there is no grace from God. It's just that they have to open their eyes. They all would see the light of the sun. So you see, we also remember another event from Sri Ramana Maharishi's life, when somebody went and complained to Bhagwan Ramana, Swami, why is that I don't feel the grace? Why wouldn't God give us the grace? Then Sri Ramana said, the grace is always there. You don't block it. You don't come in the way and block it. It's always flowing from the divine. There is no time where it is not flowing from God. Just as we have Bhagwan's Murti here, Shilamurti, with his hand raised in benediction, and there is a constant flow of grace for all who care to see. So now, in 1997, Bhagwan called him back. He said, Venkatrama, enough. You can come back to India. It was at the prime of his career. He was called back to India by Bhagwan, but Sri Venkatraman never regretted it. He says, after retirement, he is very comfortably settled. So here, we see that the very specific and rare instructions meant for all. I remember another incident, somewhat similar, about letters. I might have mentioned it before, because it's been 1 year, more than a year now, we have been seeing the glimpses, one after the other. There was a family in Tuticorin, and there was some dispute among the brothers of the family, and the case was in the court. Every time the devotees of Bhagwan appeared in the court, the case would seem to go only in favor of the opponents. Every time, with a sense of failure, they would return. Now, one of the brothers, that is, this family, the head of the family, who was involved in this case because of his own brothers, his wife, very devoted to Bhagwan, and she was all the time crying to Bhagwan, and she would write letter after letter after letter, and she wouldn't post them. She would only keep them in front of Bhagwan's picture. During the time of the case, she had written 22 letters. But then every time they would go to the court, only to find that the case was slipping away in favor of the opponent. So naturally, this lady was crying so much and complaining to Bhagwan, begging and begging for grace. And she wrote her last letter, 22nd letter, because the next day morning, there was going to be the verdict. There was nothing at all to recommend these people, and with the result, They were feeling very deeply already and very worried about the verdict. So she wrote a letter. She said, Swami, this is my final letter, the 22nd letter. I've been writing to you so much. And nothing seems to be happening. Please bless us. It's all hopeless. Looks as though they would win the case after all that. And you know that we are in the right and they are in the wrong. You cannot side with them. So saying, she cried. And then the next day morning, when they went to the court, to the great relief of these people, to the great delight and of overwhelming surprise, the case was decided in favor of these people, the devotees. They never expected it. You can imagine how they would have felt. All the time she was writing letters and keeping them only in front of Bhagwan's photo. Was praying and talking to him. So soon after this victory, they immediately rushed to Tiruvannamalai to report it, to thank Bhagwan for this great victory, an act of justice. When she went there with the last letter, the 22nd letter, and all the other letters, and she was going to submit them to him. You know what Bhagwan said? Oh, don't do it. I have read every one of them. I know already. Whatever you have written, I read every one of them. You were heaping them upon my feet in your house. I have read all of them. There is no need to give it to me here. So you see, it applies to all. Now during this Corona time, the post also, by 12 o'clock, the postman comes and goes, and after that, there is no posting. It takes some time to reach in some cases, and it doesn't reach at all in some cases, because some devotees have been complaining they didn't get prasad, despite our specific sending of prasad. I myself wrote their name and sent it, but the complaint came that they never received it. So, these are uncertain times. Things happen randomly. So the easy way is to write letters to your heart's content. Bhagwan said to him, you can write profusely any number of letters and keep them at his feet, and he would know instantly what is in it. And then you beg for his grace. Now this Bhagwan, with all these instructions, have given us a permanent blessing to make things easy for us. And just one more thing, I think about 2 or 3 days back, I got a video from somebody, and the video says, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has developed a project, Vision 2030. He wants his society to be all-inclusive. He wants a closer relationship, a harmonious relationship with India. he says he has announced quite a few relaxations. They have introduced Ramayanam and Mahabharatam in schools. Some of the international schools have all that in their curriculum. The Crown Prince announced the children, they are the future generation, they are the future Saudiya. They would learn the concept of dharma, the concept of karma. They would learn yoga and Ayurveda. And they would learn the epics, the national epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And what is more, when Shri Modi ji visited way back in 2016, they had made many plans together. And when India suffered for lack of oxygen, Saudi sent 18 metric tons of oxygen to India. Now remember, Bhagwan put his thumb on Saudi Arabia. That day, when the rules and regulations were so strict, the measures they adopted, some of them were even cruel. There was so much intolerance. And today, the Crown Prince says that he wants the future generation to be more tolerant, to have complete knowledge of all religions. The history of Hinduism, they have introduced. History of Buddhism, they have introduced. So he wants, the Prince wants, an all-inclusive curriculum for the future generation, for the present generation and the future generations. There would be greater understanding and harmony with the other countries, especially India. So no gesture of Bhagwan goes waste. I remember another incident when I had visited one of those visits, when I was seated there in the Sannidhi Street veranda, a Maori from New Zealand had come, and he was crying so much all through the session. And in between the sobs, he managed to say the cruelties they were experiencing in the hands of the colonial people. They said, we were the original tribes there, we were the landowners, but now the lands have been taken away from us, and they have settled us all in a separate place they call Indian settlement. And there is no equality at all. In fact, none of the higher posts are given to any of us. So he was saying one after the other so many complaints. And then, of course, the same thing happened to the Australian Aborigines. But after Mahasamadhi of Bhagwan, I don't remember which year, a few years after Mahasamadhi, the Australian Prime Minister announced publicly, he apologized for the way they treated the original people of the land. And then he had made many concessions for their sake, considerations. So it came to pass, because when that Maori was crying, Bhagwan said, this beggar would pray to Father Father will certainly do something. And Father seems to have done and still continues doing. Now this Bhagwan is here right in front of us. Though it takes time in the world level for certain things to happen, because Bhagwan never wanted sudden changes. We saw the mutation story. Bhagwan said that they never introduce sudden violent changes. Whatever they introduced for the sake of, whatever they introduce for the sake of the world, in the larger interest of the world, should happen only gradually. And they will definitely come to pass. It might take time, but it would come to pass. So remembering this, we shall appeal to the compassion of Bhagavan. Bhagavan, there is nothing that you do not know. There is nothing that you cannot do. We seek your blessings. We appeal to your compassion. Please cast your compassionate glance upon this world and intervene. Free the entire world from the dreadful clutches of this virulent virus and its variants, and bring back normalcy in every aspect of life, everywhere. And we beg you several times for uprooting the panic from the hearts of people, arresting the rapid spread of the diseases, for entering those medicines so that they would kill the entire crowd of viruses. And of course all those people who have been stranded for lack of medication, lack of treatment, lack of oxygen, they are in a state of stress. Bhagavan, please reach out to them, all that is needed by them, so that they get well soon and return home safely. And all those great warriors who are fighting the disease all through the day, unmindful of the difficulties they go through, the challenges, please give them protection. We also beg you for a boost to economy, for its faster development, and of course, please bless us with constant remembrance of your name. Let us all be willing and fitting instruments in your hands to go about our lives as an offering to you. And above all, we seek that wonderful, supreme blessing by which we will be completely purified, so that we would be able to see only your presence and your blessings in every happening of life. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.